Welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian from Apex Auction Car Reconditioning. I love to share information, and I want to share information on red flags when looking for a used car. For me, in my instance, in my travels, it's going to be through a lot of auto auctions, some private sales, some lot sales, very little lot sales. I don't like to go to dealerships at all, small or large. But these are going to be, I have 13 red flags that should have you turning around, putting on your running shoes, and running as fast as you can away from that sale, away from that car, away from that individual or dealership or lot or auction. Red flags are situations that are obvious and should scream out at you, stop, turn around, and run. Let's start with the first one, and this is going to be very important. I take along a couple tools when I look at vehicles. The first one's going to be a paint depth gauge. The second one is a jump start unit, especially important for auctions, auto auctions. I go to public auto auctions, insurance auto auctions. I go to dealer auto auctions, estate sales, a bunch of, I go to 4 or 5 every week. So a jump start unit, paint depth gauge, that will show me a story of has it been repainted, has there been body work, has it been hit. Another thing to look for, and let me grab the camera, take you up to a car and point to these areas and give you a visual which will help you a little bit better than me just sitting here talking the whole time. I know I mentioned this in another video. This car's brand new, it's getting paint protection film. It has not been hit, but I can use this to show you where to look. This here is called radiator support, and this runs between the front bumper and the engine and holds the coolant system. And this is a support that runs from one side to the other. Sometimes it's welded, sometimes it's bolted. And if this has been in an accident, these supports can be crinkled. Or if somebody tried to straighten them out, you would see hammer marks on them. You would see that they've been removed or shifted in any manner. If you see that, it's been hit, turn around and run like hell from the situation. This support that goes back along the fender here, in this vehicle, it's partially covered with plastic. You could easily lift that up. There's just plastic clips. And again, look for crinkles or areas that may have been straightened out or hit with a hammer. On the fenders themselves, normally these are put together and then painted. So if you see that paint's chipped off these bolts here, or there's paint up to a line here and it's shifted out or shifted in, parts have probably been replaced, so look a little bit further. You can look underneath the vehicle, suspension parts or subframes for these type of stress areas as well. Under the hood here, you can look for tape marks, overspray, dust nibs, runs, many different ways to show that the vehicle has been in a horrific collision. I don't care what the price is, what the deal may be offered to you. If it's hit hard, walk away, because you could be walking into a lot of headache. Believe me, I've gone through it. I've gone through it purposely. I've picked up cars at Copart that have been wrecked and hit pretty hard. I've showed on the channel all the work that goes into bringing those cars back to being safe and roadworthy, and it had to cover multiple videos. That's how much work went into it. So if you see something that's been hit, run like hell. Let's get to red flag number 2. And that's going to be a vehicle that you either have noticed or the potential seller has noted to you that numerous parts were just put on there. Let me give you an instance or an example. I went to look at a vehicle and the potential seller said water pump, lines, a radiator, and a thermostat had been replaced. So that's just recently. So they did all this work just to sell the vehicle. To me, that's a red flag. That's a red flag that they were possibly chasing after a head gasket problem, which is major and catastrophic in some vehicles, especially vehicles with the aluminum block, that they get warped. So if they were chasing a major problem with smaller parts to keep the repair cheap and they found that that didn't work and they're going to sell it, I am not going to be the victim and buy a vehicle that has some serious problems. So it's always a red flag to me when there are numerous new parts listed in the selling. I can understand if within the last year or two some of these parts were put in periodically, but if they're done all at once, that's a red flag to me. So something something I wanted to share that with you and have you pay attention to. Red flag number 3 is similar, a car that comes with a lot of parts. I've come across this, guys, and it's been sensors, O2 sensors laying in the trunk, brake pads, some filters here and there. Oh, I'm saying this along. It may have, every once in a while, a light pops up on the dash. Just put the sensor in. No, you put the sensor in. And if the light stays out, get back to me. I'll come look at it again. For me, that's a red flag, and I run like hell. So if a car comes with, the trunk being popped or the hatch being popped, and there's a little cache of used parts or new parts sitting there for you to put in there, run like hell. It's going to be a problem. Let's move along to red flag number 4, and that's going to be the dash light. And dash lights drive me crazy. There's nothing worse than driving along and just having that in the line of sight that you have, your dash is lighting up like a Christmas tree from all different sorts of problems, ABS and brake and check engine, you name it, overheating. You can take your OBD2 to just about every auction. There are some that really restrict. So Copart restricts what you could take in there. You can't take a jump start unit. You can't take your OBD2 sensor and code reader in there. But if there's a dash light on the car, especially if I'm going in through an auction, I normally try and stay away from that vehicle unless I run my reader and it's maybe a wheel speed sensor or something simple like that. Then I can overlook that. But dash lights to me are a red light, and if somebody's trying to sell a vehicle and the dash light is still on, that's a major problem that they were probably chasing and could not figure out, or it got too expensive for them, so they're going to try and pass that buck on to you, and I'm trying to save you that headache. Dash light equals turn around, leave immediately. Let's move along to the 5th red flag, and that's going to be the title, which shows the ownership of the vehicle. If they do not have the title in hand, and I normally ask that before I go to see or test drive the vehicle, it's a no-go for me. The title needs to be in hand. Some titles are not in hand because they may have the vehicle financed and it's not paid off. I don't like to get in the middle of those situations because then you have to wait for them to pay it off, wait for the finance company to send that title to either them or you. I don't like that waiting period. I like the transaction to be crisp and fast and clean. I want that title to be in their name, in their hands, and most importantly, I want a clean title. I don't want to see that title on the top having reconstructed or salvaged or whatever. It needs to be a clean title from that state. Very important, and I would ask to see the title before you even look at the car. Because if they don't have it, or if it's not clean, you're wasting your time from that point on. Let's move on to red flag number 6 for me. I see a lot on Marketplace, social media, Craigslist, and that's somebody selling for a friend. If I see selling for a friend, family member, uncle, aunt, mom, grandfather, I move on quickly. That's called curb stowing. And the car is not in their name. If it's not in their name, they should not be in the transaction at all. I don't want an in-between person. I want to be direct, seller, buyer to seller. And sometimes it's also an excuse for somebody bought a car, but they had problems with it, didn't register it, and they lost the title. When I see selling for a friend or family member, I run like heck to get out of there. I just turn the page, move on to the next listing, whatever, however you want to put that. Number 7 is not so much a red flag, but maybe a rule that I would suggest you put into your car buying or your search, the regiment for your search, and that is never buy sight unseen. I have a lot of individuals that I know that buy vehicles from auctions out of state, sight unseen. Biggest gamble you could ever have. Or somebody is selling and they have a listing and they buy it and want to have it shipped in. Whether it's from an auction, if it's from an auction, you can pay somebody at the auction to go out and take a look at the car. It's normally $100 to $200, and they'll do a standard check on all the major systems and give you an update on the status of the vehicle. If it's a private sale, I'm never going to do that sight unseen. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to buy a car and then have them ship it to me. I don't care how many videos they have on it. So never buy sight unseen. Start the car, test drive it, look at everything that I am going over with you today for the vehicle, and then make your decision after that. Okay guys, red flag number 8 is important to me, and it should be important to all of you because it can actually lead to other issues with the vehicle. Let me explain. Air conditioning. If the air conditioning isn't working or doesn't blow cold, that's a red flag to me, and let me explain why. First of all, if you live in the South, air conditioning is a must. And even all the way up here in the Northeast, I'm in Pennsylvania, we have soggy fall and spring, cool, damp, and a cold winter, but when it does hit summer, it is hot and it is humid. AC is a must for 2-3 months for sure. So I need to have that working. But also, I get a lot of potential sellers, it just needs a quick charge. I'll take enough off to go get a canister at a car parts store. First of all, you don't want to go to a car parts store and get one of those refill canisters. These systems are heavily influenced on pressure, and you want the right amount of PSI of the coolant, and you want the right coolant in there as well. So you want a tech that knows what they're doing, if you don't, to have those things charged. Number 2, repair on air conditioning systems can get quite expensive. $2,000 or more if you're talking about a condenser, a compressor, some lines. It can be a costly repair. And also, if they did not have the means to fix the air conditioning, sometimes that also tells me they didn't have the means to do other maintenance things or have the means to keep their car up to the condition and standards that I would be used to or I would expect in a car. I hope that makes sense. But if the air conditioner doesn't work and they're trying to blame it on something simple like a recharge or a fuse, that throws up a red flag. I haven't always refused a car because of that, but it always puts something in the back of my head throughout the rest of that transaction. I hope that makes sense. Number 9, and this actually should be up pretty high on the list, and that's any leaks. Leaks from the oil pan, engine oil, transmission, check the transmission pan. Very important, transfer case, front and rear diff. If you see leaking out of the seals or if a gasket is leaking, very important to take note of that. For me, a lot of times I like to just turn, head the other direction and walk away from the deal. But that's completely up to you if you're not afraid and can find a way to check the levels of the fluids to make sure they weren't run low. Because normally if there is a leak and somebody keeps running the car and that level's low, that is not good news, guys. So when I see a leak, where a vehicle sits, look on the ground and see how heavily it's spotted. Yes, they could have moved it, but you can also see wet marks underneath the vehicle. You can also see if it's been freshly wiped. A lot of sellers I've seen, and I could smell the fresh brake fluid cleaner that they sprayed to wipe it down, to wipe that oil off. It's so obvious. If you see that, there's a good chance I like to turn around and walk away from that deal as well. Number 11, this is kind of in the same category, and that's the fluid levels low. If I pull the dipstick, and there's barely enough on the stick to register, or it's just very dark and dirty and not a nice light golden brown, well, that really puts me off rather quickly. I like to see a car that's taken care of. After I pull the dipstick and check the fluids, I like to go inside the car, sit down in the driver's seat, and look up to the top left windshield. If it's being maintained properly, if it's being serviced regularly, you're going to see a sticker up there from the service station. Jiffy Lube and some of those other small service stations get thrown a lot of shade, but if I see the sticker up there and it's current and it's within the mileage, I still feel good because the person still had enough intuition to take care of the vehicle and want to maintain it. That means they loved it, and that just gives me a good feeling when a car is being taken care of and you know they love the car or cared for it. So check the transmission fluid when you can. Not all of these are accessible. Some of them you can't even check any fluids. And you have to rely on dummy lights on the dash. And it's ridiculous, but I don't like those cars. I walk away from them. Red flag number 12, almost through the list already, but this is important, and this is the inspection sticker. Here in Pennsylvania, we have a sticker on the driver's side bottom left windshield, and I'm going to take you out to a vehicle and show you exactly what that is. So this here is a Pennsylvania safety and emissions sticker, and the safety sticker, they'll pull the car in, pull the wheels, and they'll check the brakes, the rotors, the lines, the calipers. They check for rust. They check for a lot of different things. They look throughout the whole vehicle for all types of safety issues to make sure they're safe for the roadways here. And then emissions, they're going to hook up to the OBD2 and look at the sensors and make sure there's no O2 sensors or, just all kinds of exhaust stuff. And they check your exhaust to make sure there's no leaks. They check the lights to make sure all the lights front and back work. And suspension parts as well, like shocks and coil springs and you name it. So when I see a vehicle that is listed, or I see a vehicle at an auction that doesn't have a sticker, well, I'm going to look into it further because there's a lot of states that you don't even need anything on the windshield. It's the vehicles that the inspection has run out just a month before or a month or two before. Shop manager here coming up to say hello. Hey, pretty girl. Or the inspection is just going to run out next month. If they're selling the car then, that means they didn't have the financial means to fix whatever's wrong with it to get it to pass inspection, because that can lead to expensive repairs. So when I see that the inspection has just run out or is just running out, red flag, I'll turn around and I'll find a new deal. I'll find a new vehicle. So that's something to pay attention to. And this is the last red flag, and this is obvious, and I think even, all of you have this in the back of your mind looking at vehicles. If I go see a vehicle, and sometimes this doesn't show up in pictures, and it's dirty inside and out, and just a dirtiness that the vehicle is hardly ever cleaned. That deep, soaked in dirt, pet hair, whatever. If a vehicle isn't cleaned inside or out, to me, I get the feeling that it hasn't been maintained either. If they don't care about the interior, if they don't care about the exterior, why would they care about clean motor oil that's full, fluids in all of the running gear that are full and fresh and change when they need to be or ahead of time? You see where I'm getting with this? If a car hasn't been taken care of or loved, I don't know if I want it. I want something that somebody really loved it, or they had to rely on this thing to get you from A to B. Even if they didn't love it, they relied on it enough to service it, clean it, take care of it, and what's most important, have pride, having pride in your ride. If they had pride in their ride, it puts a smile on my face and you know, sometimes helps with the sale, with me anyways. So that's my list of red flags. It's not all of them. I would like you to help me out and put your red flag down in the comment section, or let me know what you think about the red flags that I shared with you that kind of helped me purchasing a used vehicle, whether it's off a lot, off a dealer's lot, off of an auction lot, or through a private sale, and let me know if I have helped you or added any red flags to your list. This has been Brian from Apex Auction Car Reconditioning. I'll catch you in the next video.